All right, Triss. So we're going to be looking at your mechanics from Wednesday's Bullpen. I know I said Darren O'Day I was going to compare you to, but I actually found someone who I believe is probably a little bit better, and that's Brad Ziegler. Played a little bit in the MLB. If you look him up, has one of the craziest wind-ups of all time, but also a sidearm guy. So first of all, I'm going to get to where y'all are both in the same sort of area, and I'll just let it play right here. So very similar mechanics when we come to that. So let's start back at the top, working on your mechanics. So reason I want to start just based off this, let's talk about a couple things. First things first, this is where our direct eye level is. And I just want to show you how much we change it within the next few seconds. Now, even though this isn't necessarily a bad thing, I'm just going to time this and see. So you start at 229. So that isn't too bad. So you still are, you're recalibrating, you get your eyesight back in, so that's all good right there. This is where it becomes a bit of a problem, is we go so low right here. Now look at our arm sight. Or our eyesight, sorry. Versus we look at Ziegler's. So Ziegler's is right here. For the most part, though, he kind of elevates down slowly and kind of rides that ramp down, versus if I were to put a ramp here, we drop already below that ramp. So that's something that comes with accuracy. And this is something similar to what I talked about with Diego with the head tilt down. Sometimes it works for a pitcher, sometimes it doesn't. It all really depends what's best for you. Now that we got that done, going on to this. I really like this. This is really good. Our glove hand is going towards our target, and this is back. That's exactly what we want. And we see this too with Ziegler, same thing. Back to it. Now, if anything, we can maybe straighten this a little bit, but it's not that much of a difference. Now, this is where I really want you to pay attention when it comes to Ziegler. Y'all get very similar eye angle. It's almost identical. However, I want to just show you something. Keep an eye on your back leg, and then keep an eye on Ziegler's back leg here. So first I'm going to do yours. Off the ground, and now we're going to the side. That's why we're falling off, because we lose balance there. And now we're only relying here on this foot. On that foot. Versus Ziegler, while Ziegler does come off the ground just a little bit, he regains it within a matter of probably less than a millisecond. Less than a millisecond, he regains control of it. So that's why we're falling off when we're throwing. That's the reason too. That, and then we're also flying open that shoulder. I'm going to clear this all right now, and I'm going to put this over your shoulder, that you're flying it open and kind of just letting this arm, your right arm here, take all the control of where you end up. Versus Ziegler, let me get that to the similar area. Right here, although he's flying this arm just slightly, for the most part, he's also staying true to that glove side. Because if you think about it, if we're going, it's different when we're overhand because we're going directly down to the ball. Likewise, I put the same thing for Ziegler. However, this time, We're more so going around to the plate. But for us and for you specifically, we're going straight this way, which is leading us to fall off like that. So, if we clear this all, and we look how Ziegler does this, Ziegler tries his best to stay true with this, and although he's going this way with the glove, at the same time, he's also pulling his torso this way. Versus for you, if we get back to that position, so your glove is going this way, and your torso is now coming this way. So what we need to fix is getting your torso to go more towards the plate, which is also going to translate to more strikes in the zone. Now, on the fall through, like we said, that's why we're losing that balance right there. And that's also why we're going to miss a lot of the times on this arm side slot. Because in this bullpen, the fastball looked good. It was just that we were locating it arm side away. Well, away is arm side, but arm side down, I mean. Versus Ziegler. Ziegler very much stays true to that. And even so, look at his release point. Our release point, this is where our release point is. And Ziegler's is way out in front here of his body. So what that means is that he's able to throw it back in the zone versus for us, when we're releasing it out here, that's what's also making us miss away. So to summarize what we talked about here, this is kind of just play around with it. For the most part, it's honestly not that bad, so you're fine on that. But this we need to figure out and just work on working down this ramp slowly versus just automatically dropping down. And again, like Ziegler does have a little bit of a drop, but not by much. And for Ziegler, he is riding that ramp down and allowing himself to have rhythm on that. And that's what it's really all about. If we're just all over the place like this, we're kind of going to be all over the place with our mechanics. And even so, that's kind of why we finished out here, because it wasn't controlled. Pitching is a very controlled-based game. And if we don't have control in our mechanics, or we don't have control in our pitches or mentality or whatever the case may be, we're going to be in for a really, really long day. Then, of course, like I said, make sure stay true to this glove. Make sure we're staying true. And while we're pulling our glove this way, we're pulling our torso this way. So we need to get that still there, but our torso more towards this, which will also translate this to being more out front. Let me get this blue line. This will translate to being more out front with our release, kind of like how Ziegler is right there. That's what ideally we're looking for on that. But other than that, everything looked pretty good for the most part. Just really slight mechanics, and this is something even we talked about yesterday going forward, that a pitcher is built in the offseason with his mechanics, his arsenal, and especially for you to be able to step up next year like you're supposedly being able to for your high school. This is very, very important that we really hone in on that and get ourselves to a controlled mechanic-like state, kind of like how Brad Ziegler is. And that's why, honestly, I like Ziegler more for comparison to you, because I feel like both of y'all have a very, very, I mean, it's almost identical. If you watch yours, from this point on, it's just identical. The arm slot, everything is identical. So that's pretty much all I got for you, Triss, but keep it up, bud.